Good. Our first item is approval of the June 25th, 2025 minutes. So I'll call for a vote.
I have something.
Oh,
That's fine.
Oh, I'd like to say something about the minutes.
Sure, yes,
Before we
please.
vote on it.
Okay, please.
We're, I guess it's on page 7. Yeah, fourth paragraph down when I shared. The second to the last says at St. John's, there are large men of color who intimidate
Change that?
patrons, please.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound
I'll
right.
change it. I'll change it.
Thank you.
Take the, or strike it.
What
What do you want me to do?
just
Strike it?
no, just leave it there and just say who provides security.
Okay, got it. That's what I need to know.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
any other comments or questions on the,
No problem.
no, or minutes? No?
Oh, no, I thought you were saying.
Oh, okay, all right, now I'll say, is there a call to vote
On the amended as amended.
on the, as amended? Thank you. I saw
Oh,
one.
second.
Okay, second, good. Then we'll vote via raise of hand for aye.
Sure.
And then, yes, and the people on the, I deem they can vote. I'll get it, and then I won't be president, it's fine. All right, so it's passed.
I think I was clapping.
Yeah.
I know, we're off to a good start, everyone. All right, president's notes. I have a couple for us. Reminding us of opportunities for us to come and support the library. So starting with, we have the Schultz Museum Snoopy event, aka Snoopy event, on October 4th. And that will have our kid ambassadors. There's an artist who is going to do a mural, different things to kick off that exhibit that will be here, and that exhibit will be here for 3 months, leaving January 4th. So if you can't make it to the October 4th event, we hope you can, but if you can't, it's still going to be here, so you'll have a chance to take a look at that exhibit and engage with it until January 4th. Next item is the Celebrate Our Library. If you haven't gotten tickets for that yet, please do, because they will sell out. It's very popular. They're going quick, like hotcakes. That's November 6th. 5:45 to 9 p.m. Also read the books. My sister and I are reading 3 books by each of the authors, and I'm just laughing at her. And my sister's behind, so let's be the call for her to get with it. Finally, we're going to have the board retreat as we always do, but we're pushing it back a little bit just because there's been so much going on. And so that will be in the winter. We'll be following up with board retreat. We'll be following up with a poll so that we can figure out the timing that works best for everyone. And the formatting will be a little bit different than the one that we had last year as well. So we want to make sure we have enough time to put effort into planning that out, making sure it's helpful for Jason, for the library, and so more on that coming. Okay. All right, then I'll head over to the report of the executive director.
Sorry, I'm just gonna fix now it's zooming in slowly on me. I was trying to do the speaker because it was just on me, so I have fixed it. Sorry about that. My report obviously was a little hefty this over the summer, so I'm gonna kick off with some good stuff. Everyone who's physically here today, and some of the board members that were able to attend the annual meeting of the foundation, got a preview of that. I know Mary, Kim, and Matthew were there. But these are the kind of first ever produced that we have done community reports. They kick off with a letter from Laura and the board, a letter from myself, and then share some of the fun things we've done over the last year and a half-ish. We kind of rounded up. Originally, we were gonna do this to come in January, and then things fell apart, so we just kind of powered through to finish it out. And so this, I did send a link to this to all staff as well in my September 15th newsletter to the staff. But it's just highlighting some of the different fun things we've done over the last year. Show a little bit more than that. So really excited about that and the work done. I want to thank everyone on the library team. We had a huge group of new editors to help fix that. Lots of new staff have volunteered to start editing the verboseness of Jason, so I appreciate that. So it's really, I will be bringing it to a number of different places to show off the work that the library is doing. And we tried to do a nice little expansion of everything that has been done, from the successful work in the children's department to the surprise of my life is the fact that our local history programs are like consistently filling up every time, and we're not having 3 people attend a lecture. We're having standing room only lectures for local history, which is a shock to say the least. And so and the success with TBL and Talking Book Library, as well as so it's and so it's really a good way to balance out it. We ended up kind of doing it around the same time as Chrissy's annual report, to which I would encourage you, if you don't get one from her, to reach out to her to get one, because that one also highlights our tech services department, a commonly not known about department in most public libraries. So we're really excited that that team worked on that. So that's my community report. Happy to answer any questions about it. I know you guys are, many of your first time having eyes on it, so we can always have follow-up conversations about it.
This is great. And so, you know, when you go to meetings, or that's how you hand it out, you bring it with you and hand it out to different types of meetings and collaborations.
Yeah, I'll be workshopping to see what people are interested in regards to it. What I wanted to do was start producing kind of more action items of the things that the library's working on. A great example that I will be bringing this to is each month, pretty much every other month for the city cabinet meetings, the city manager asks one department to highlight their work. And so I've been asked to do the libraries for the October cabinet event. So in addition to my 30-minute lecture that I will give at that, to which I was told that I had 30 minutes and not more than that. So I'll take 40. And I will also be providing that for that. So hopefully it'll be a good tool. And if you guys feel like you would like a stack or so of them, let me know. I can provide that. And we will put them on the website. So that's the general monthly-ish report was also pretty hefty because our staff did a lot of really great things. A couple of highlights there I will include is now it is confirmed that we are doing a groundbreaking for the new Employment Opportunity Center for the Worcester Housing Authority on October 2nd. We'll have Lieutenant Governor Driscoll and Secretary of Housing Augustus will be at that groundbreaking for their new Employment Opportunity Center, and we take over a third of that lowest level. So hopefully it'll be part of our ignited conversations to start making decisions on furniture and all of the other pieces that we will have. So it's really exciting. I will forward on the invite to everyone from the board later today. We just got that invite a day or two ago. But I did have inkling that it's going to happen, so I wanted to write in the report.
When is it? When is the
October 2nd, so next Thursday. And it's at 1:30 p.m. And another thing to note is that we are again hosting the advocacy boot camp for Massachusetts librarians not next Tuesday, the Tuesday after, October 7th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The focus here will be more on the local level. So our keynotes will be, the first keynote will be the executive director of the Massachusetts Municipal Association. And then the final keynote of the day will be actually was a big Worcester fan, Tim Garvin. They did that without me picking Tim Garvin, and so I can't wait for him to scream about how much he loves the Worcester Public Library, and then I don't have to pay him for it. So that is an exciting piece. The staff, you can see through the rest of the report, the staff really took on our strategic imperatives throughout the summer months. Had a lot of time, especially under the leadership of Jen and Angela, to take some chances and see what was gonna stick in the summer. I think we had a little bit less summer reading involvement than we wanted, but still it let us explore a little bit more, and we didn't do too many formulaic things. We tried new things. And the staff have already started planning for next summer reading, so they're intense about it, so that's okay. We love summer reading. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions on that part of the report before I move on to that safety report that I submitted to everyone. If anyone has questions about the regular old monthly report or the community report.
Is the monthly report and community report, does that include the goals?
Yes.
I guess I have a question on goal 4, how
Okay.
are those hires doing?
Yes. How are the hires doing?
How, it says that they're going on potential candidate with COW and those things.
Yeah. I might defer a little bit to Peggy. Peggy has been a hiring theme, but also has been assisting the city in some other hiring, including you're doing the investigations person for the city as well. So all of those, the first list, the new hires and promotions that I provided, they all started, I kind of took the whole summer new starts. So we have that second security compliance officer, that's Patrick. I don't remember who the GL2 that we hired in June was, is that Brandon?
Brandon.
So it's Don, Brandon, Patrick, so they're all here. And so all of these staff are there, the L2 in circulation that in September, Liza, so she has started. Our pages have started. We have the third security compliance officer is, we have had a couple of failed starts. And that was when the city of Worcester was doing it. So now Peggy is in full control of the hiring our new security compliance officer. And I believe you're finishing up round 3 of interviews on Tuesday? Monday.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of strong candidates, so.
So we did, and in regards to that, we did have a problem with the people taking the role. So it's been offered to a number of people that hadn't taken it. So we reposted with new candidates and are working on the new candidates now.
So now we have 2. We have Don.
Don and Patrick are steady, have been here since June and are doing a great job, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, I've met them both.
Yes.
It's been very positive.
Yeah. It is truly a different environment, which we're really excited about.
Great.
So I might just jump into the security stuff. So I provided a quote unquote report, talked a little bit about security, but also shared what has happened over the last couple of months. I've been in communication with Laura and city manager about a number of different pieces. I do have in my prequel part of this is to include that Peggy is now running point on the hiring, taking over City Hall. Part of that is a lot of our problems that were really getting a lot of attention were very much this new department that the city was looking to impose some decisions on us, and we're really fitting a square peg in a round hole. And so the city manager and I had a lot of really good discussions about how to have this more sustainable and more trauma informed and library informed. And so we've been able to really work on a lot of things, including we have new uniforms that were effective today. I haven't seen any of them, so
I can pick them up.
all right. And so we do have our own look now separate from City Hall, to which was decided by our security guards, so they provided us a report and some research on what they thought was the best way to be approachable, but also authoritative, to have the best version of compliance that is possible. So I got a multi-page report from them about what they think they should wear, which is not the best fit for a library ever, because I was excited to get that report.
I mean, when do you get a fashion report?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, many of us could write dissertations for cardigans. Zoe's wrap looks lovely as well. So it's, the environment around our security compliance officers has been much more positive. As they have gotten their feet under them and able to establish relationships. I did provide in the email, a presentation on safety that I did with the staff. Both kind of outline the changes as well as prepare for some of those. In my report, I also mentioned that we're in the process of doing demonstrations on new reporting software. Right now, we use a reporting software under what's called mock form, and it's pretty much just like an Excel spreadsheet. And so we can work with that data, but also we have to pull our own trends, not trends are being pulled for us. There are two main places that have that other library systems are using. One is called PITS, PITS. And that's Patron Incident Tracking System, and the other one is under a company called Orange Boy, which is about a cat, so they're definitely our people. Yeah, they have a whole company named after the orange cat that they have. So we're in the process of looking at both of those right now. We did both have a demo with PITS already, and we met with Quincy, Massachusetts, Thomas Brain Public Library to see how they use PITS. They sung its praises. Some of the features that it has also helps, two-factor authentication to protect patron privacy, but it does also have some things that we can see where we have kind of patrons that are problems at multiple branches and be able to address those things. So we're trying to go at the data smarter. Speaking of data, I have asked the staff for this current quarter, to do a new data set on, how much time they're spending on security. So I provided the first 2 weeks for that. We launched the tool on the 1st of September, and we're just doing it for 3 months to both extrapolate what we're dealing with. In those first 2 weeks, we had 213 submitted reports from staff saying that I'm monitoring things, I'm taking a look at things. Because one of the things that we talked about with the staff is how things often aren't, the things that bother staff aren't the big things, they're the constant little things. And it's hard to document the constant little things, so this is my attempt to document the constant little things.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
When I'm reading it, it says, we're looking at the data. For 2 weeks. GDV, which I
Yes.
gather is Great Brook Valley.
Yes.
Is really a standout stat wise. In the first 2 weeks, there were 213 submitted reports. Is that from GDV?
No, I apologize. That is two different thoughts. So GBV has by far the most numbers of submissions out of any service point in the entire library, because they're doing constant behavior modification of unsupervised children. Because there's so many latchkey kids that go there, it's a lot of managing behavior. So it's definitely been interesting to take a look at, because across the board in the first month, not quite month, it seems like some of our biggest things that our staff are reporting that are bothering them are the constant behavior modifications, especially of children. Of how much parents are struggling to control their children, how much teachers are struggling to control their students, and how much we are struggling to control. These are all the pandemic kids. They were all either born or didn't have any socialization time in as everything was shut down. And so we're really seeing a lot of the ramifications of that. The interesting thing is, as we keep talking to staff, is that seems to be the bigger through line than the fact that we have a pretty big victory. My first year here, we were at average of 14 overdoses a month, and now last year we had 14 the whole year. And so we're seeing a shift in behaviors that is exacerbating staff, and we're trying to dig into it. The first 2 weeks, there were a total of 213 submitted reports from all branches and all service
Okay,
locations.
thanks.
185 of those incidents, we're just monitoring. I'm keeping an eye on this problem. I'm keeping an eye on this problem. I'm trying to order books. I'm keeping an eye on this problem. I'm trying to do this. I'm keeping an eye on this problem.
Yeah.
And then 28 of those were someone saying, I sat down to write an incident report. Sometimes incident reports can take 10 minutes. Sometimes they can take 2 hours, and it really depends on severity. In the first 2 weeks, we only had one incident. One thing submitted that took over an hour, and that was just a Saturday morning with bad weather, that the staff monitoring behaviors around the bad weather. Just because when it rains, there's nowhere else for people to go. And so, this morning we had 7 a.m., a very large group outside under the awning at the front of the building on the Franklin Street side of the building at 7 a.m. Because there's just no dry place other than the overhangs of the Worcester Public Library. Yes.
We talked a lot about the security in this building. What kind of security do we have in the rest of the branches?
So we don't have any in the branches, and so as we get problems, our staff kind of diagnose those problems and send in the past. We've had patron behaviors that we've sent security out to go meet with those patrons, because commonly patrons are on a schedule that it actually doesn't take too long for us to figure out what their schedule is. And so that's common. Right now, one of our big things that we're dealing with Great Brook Valley is kids under the age of 5 coming to the library alone. And so not only do we look at that as an incident problem, because if a 3-year-old is walking to the library on their own and coming into the library on their own, we not only do we look at that as incident, but we also look at that through a trauma-informed lens. So when we reach out to the parent, we get the kid to give us a library card so that we can get the contact information. Then we also reach out with our social worker. So in that case, our Asia, the social worker, has reached out to help work. But most of the incidents that happen that are security guard needed happen here at the main library. It's an anomaly for anything to happen at the other branches. Most of the time with Francis Perkins, our problems tend to be teenagers coming over from Abbey Kelly across the street, and maybe more than one of them going to the bathroom at the same time. And maybe you have to intervene in what's happening in the bathroom for teenagers at that time. So that tends to be the security incidents there, not the public safety stuff that we're dealing with downtown. But we do send, whenever we see a pattern, we do send it out to go address those patterns. And whether it's security guards going out, in some cases, Jen gives the call, some cases Angela gives a call, some cases Soma gives a call, and we try to work with the parents on those solutions. Yes, I agree with that.
So my question is that as you're tracking these issues or challenges, you're going to categorize them by, so you can see where there's a trend. And then do you share that with the city, or do you share it with the police department, or do you share these so that they can see if it blends within what behavior issues they're having? I know it's not a library, but
So we definitely, so I definitely communicate all this stuff with the city manager. We've been sharing more with the Department of Public Facilities. But one thing that their attempt for security really demonstrated is that we're on a different level than everyone else. And so people aren't ready for our conversations yet. I mean, I have great I had all summer wonderful conversations, city manager, about trying to address some of these things, but it really spoke to the disconnect between what City Hall needs, and what the library needs. And that was actually a very helpful piece for us to get to, is to see that we can't fit a square peg in a round hole, and one size does not fit all. And so we have been working a lot with the police department. Soma, I think, has, it might be twice a week, is she on, that she, or less frequently, depending on the weeks, working with the captain for this area for the police department. We both have his cell phone number. He has never not picked up. One time I called him and he said, "I'm sorry, I just have to whisper, I'm in line for wake." And I said, "You can call me back." So he's taking it super seriously in the way that he is picking up while he's in line at a wake, which is not the time to pick up a phone call from me. Because if it was pressing it would be a 911 call. So we're working on kind of establishing those rules, but we do have to think about our patron data when we do that. So it's part of the, yes.
I'm at St. John's in the morning until about 9 o'clock. Things have been escalating down there the past few weeks.
Yes.
Even volunteers have walked out feeling unsafe. This morning, I was the one who walked out feeling unsafe.
So
There's one policeman, his wife has been going to Dana Farber, which is the reason why he hadn't been there consistently. But he was ready to close it down this morning. 3 different occasions, he blew his whistle and he said, "If you don't stop, we're closing it down. We'll give you a bag lunch." And
Out you go.
out you go.
Wow.
And Monday, there were 3 patrol cars. There were multiple police running through the building, chasing somebody. I don't know what it is. The police officer didn't know what it was either, if it was bad drugs or who's in the mix. But if it hasn't, come here yet, I would say have your men look,
well,
keep
so
your eyes open.
we, there is a shift happening as of a lot of new faces. We're at another phase of a lot of new faces. And so we've been a little bit more on the offense about that. Part of, a good example is, we had, our custodians and Soma establishing behaviors before we even opened. When I got here at like 8:30, most of that large crowd that was that out there, many of them had dispersed after having a conversation about what behaviors are and aren't accepted today. And so we've been able to kind of head off some of those pieces. We're not counting our chickens, but it's also very normal that right now is when we see a pretty big push. Start end of September, start of October is when we start to see more people show up, hoping for more shelter spaces to open in November. So it's formulaic. And so we're not unprepared for this moment, but it is, yes, yeah.
Can I just ask a quick question, going back to the age of children at Reaper Valley?
Yeah.
So the youngest age unaccompanied is what, 10? Or
So
I have no idea.
I am gonna look at Angela, but I'm gonna preface to say, part of our problems with One City, One Library and Great Brook Valley is that these are latchkey kids with parents who are at multiple jobs.
And they're working.
And it is not, so our rules for the main library are stricter than others. Because in some cases, we have very capable 7-year-olds that are walking 2 houses over from where they live.
You're right, no big deal.
So it is oftentimes about the skill set of the child, of whether or not they can meet the behavior needs. So I don't necessarily know if I have a confident number on GBV, which is why I'm looking at Jen and Angela to see if they know it. They're
It's not, there's no hard number. I
There's no
think
hard
I can
number.
Speak better to that, but it is
It's
based on
about
maturity level,
maturity.
ability to, communicate.
And like Shrewsbury had a problem with like kids that were under 10. And they decided we're not gonna allow anyone unaccompanied, because it was just this group of like young. I don't know if they were boys or girls, I really don't know, but they were harassing all the patrons. So they just made a decision, you can't be there anymore. You know, because, and then, I don't know if that's changed, but I think if you walked in there today and you were under a certain age and you're behaving, you'd be fine. I'm not wrong to say that, right?
I mean, I don't know about Shrewsbury, but here, yes.
Okay.
So we really don't want to put a real official age on it. I think there are
Good.
laws
That's good.
about unattended children in Massachusetts. I'm trying to find a date on when those actually went into effect, but there is, you can, as a parent, get in trouble if your kid is unattended under 10. However, we all know 8-year-olds, I was a 10-year-old by
Me
myself
too.
a lot, so there are 10-year-olds. If you can't adhere to the behavior policy,
Right,
then you can't stay for the day. We do give them a little bit more leeway, but
you get like a little bit of warning.
Yeah. However, we all have jobs to do. We cannot watch your child, so if something happens, that is not on us. So that is where you would leave your kid at RA, you shouldn't leave them at our library.
Yeah, I mean,
And
again,
also having
it's cool.
diapers is a pretty often strong thing, so if you're in diapers.
That's different.
That is, or you're bringing another sibling in diapers and you're unable to change those diapers, we're not changing them for you. So
Wow,
that tends to be we mostly fixate on the diapers.
yeah, so it's basically that if you're with a sibling that's able to handle a younger child, everything works out.
And there's many children who visit all of the branches
They're doing that.
that have that, so it is unfortunately, it is actually a small number, it's frequent, and part of this new tracking system is also helping us diagnose those and resolve
That's
those, so
good.
that staff aren't doing those in a vacuum and getting angry at us and then leaving and saying, no one ever helped me with these kids, and I'm like, what kids?
Exactly.
So,
Now you have the data.
it's all about pulling that data and making sure that we can address those problems.
Thank you for explaining
Um, so just one thing that I haven't kicked off yet is my new safety huddles. Right now I only have 4 staff who've signed up for it. And so and 2 of those 4 have Monday off for working, and I was trying to do them on Monday morning, so I'm gonna figure something out starting in October. And it might just be me and 4 people doing these huddles for now, until staff feel in a space that they want to know them or we're solving those problems. Solma and I did attend the Library Journal Safety Summit in Hartford, Connecticut, earlier this month. And I mean, it's tough because we're not alone in this. It's also tough because no one solved it. But it was a good opportunity, and we are potentially gonna approach the finance committee with a pretty expensive ask for some new trainings, but Soma is working on some of these pieces to figure it out. There's a very successful, unique training happening out in California. But it would be about $100,000 to do here.
Wow.
So,
And there
So
are
it's
no
not-
grants for.
there are- currently no.
Library
but-
grants stay what they are.
But we will try our hardest. We will most likely have to do it in phased approaches. So I will stay as open to who might be willing to fund things as possible.
How's the city manager and the city council dealing with this? It seems like it's been a year's process of talking with them and it's not new.
Mhm.
And there seems to be no movement. I'm reading a lot of these things from patrons and staff that says the city doesn't seem to be concerned about us, or we don't seem to be getting a response from them.
Yeah.
How are, how is the city looking at this?
I think, I will say that I've been able to have some really great conversations with the city manager about trying to move the city council into understanding their role and to a productive means, because until they started to have negative interactions at City Hall, I don't think that they were taking us very seriously, so it was a lot of people banging their heads against the wall. And when they saw a couple incidents, those were centered around protests, and then not whatever their feelings about those pieces may be. They reacted in a way that doesn't fit libraries, and then became to us in solving our problem because they were looking for, just do exactly what we're doing. It's perfect. Well, I would argue it isn't. If you're running away and canceling your meetings, it's not working. So I felt that this summer that part of this was also getting everyone to understand that we weren't being hysterical, which is a feeling that I was getting. And that have data and decisions behind these, that this isn't like, oh, I think that this is gonna be working, as we can actually prepare for tough times. And seeing 5 days of rain on the schedule does change my to-do list. And that should be a standard practice for everyone in the city, that 5 days of rain should change your to-do list. Because everyone's gonna be wet, soggy, and pissed. And they're gonna look to the different methods they have to alleviate pain, to alleviate anger, to alleviate frustration, depression, all of those things. And so have started to come up with systems on our own to say, here's, Soma got here super early this morning to start working on security things so that issues were done before we were even open. I also got here early for me, and with that kind of same goal, but someone had already conquered it, and so I said, okay, I don't need to worry about that at the moment, we'll keep an eye on. And we had a regular number of incidents today, nothing special. I'm looking at Zoe, because I feel like you're probably most on the floor today.
Maybe one in Germany, that's it.
Yeah. So it's really been about convincing that we are coming at this from a space that we're not reacting to stuff. This is a reaction, but we're not reacting stuff. We're planning and and trying to be productive. And I feel like we won a lot of I don't know, I would say like feelings of trust back from people over the summer as we started to really dive into those hard conversations. But I did want to copy and paste exactly what the staff said in the anonymous piece, because I did not want anyone to misconstrue how I'm translating what staff are saying to you, the board, and to the city. I think the only thing I omitted is because I think someone used someone's name and I didn't want that to be public, so.
So I found it, but I really appreciated you putting in the submissions and giving them the opportunity to submit something. I found it interesting that after that strongly worded letter we all received.
Hmm.
And then a call for opinions, there were only 7 responses. And I guess not that you necessarily need to answer this, and maybe we could all ponder this, but just. Do you think that, I consider that a very small number? Do you think that is because the letter perhaps was not portraying what the majority of the sentiment was? Or that people are kind of resigned and don't think things will change and therefore didn't want to engage in a conversation about it?
It is my personal opinion, that this city has often thrived on defending itself and overreacting to get movement. And that's what I found the letter to be, is to take something and rather than be productive. And actually, this came up in a meeting today, around in the Worcester Education Collaborative, about this city's sentiment of always needing to be to, what was the phrase that was used? It was only fight the battles it can win, but never fight the good fight. And that was said by a leader in this community. And that was, I think that was a good summation of what was said. I'm looking at Angela, she was sitting next to me in that. And I think that tends to be my problem with the city of Worcester is rather than engage in a productive conversation, it was like, how can we blow stuff up the best way possible? Rather than saying, let's collaborate on it, because no one really wants to collaborate, they just want to yell. But I want to collaborate. I do think there's no ability that I'll ever build that can do 100% trust with every staff member. It's just not gonna happen. But I am looking forward to making more opportunities for staff to express themselves. And staff share a lot of things with me, and some of these things I'm like, the fact that you said that to a boss, and you still have a job is crazy to me. But I invited it, that's how feedback works, I don't get to pick how I hear it, you know? And so I think, there's definitely some staff, for this form in particular, I did try to demonstrate to staff, that there was true, obviously, do I have the ability to read things and figure out who wrote them based on writing style? Of course I do. Like people who read a lot are able to see writing styles. But I did want, because we have the feedback form that lets people use their names, I did want to give another option for people who I don't want to use my name. And some of them can. Some of, in the past, I had suggested, and please cover your ears, Matthew. I had suggested to staff, if they felt like they were having too much emotion with writing something, to use AI to remove the emotion. So that we don't write derogatory things towards other people. And because if we're feeling so much anger, or we're so worried that Jason's gonna know Kim wrote this, then use a tool to help you build some level of trust there. So I don't know if those were used. I didn't ask. I didn't search which IP address said what. Because I don't really care. I care about getting to the root cause of it. And I feel like in some cases, I think it's great. We have a lot of work on our hands, but we also have a lot of cultural work on our hands. And I think a great example is yesterday, someone on the second floor called for security. Now, I walked by oblivious to it, but saw that Jen was there and was like, there's enough cooks in this kitchen, I can keep walking. And so I kept walking. Security said, what's going on? I said, check in with Jen. I don't know. And I walked up to the third, and the person on the third looking down over. I'm like, what you doing? Oh, I heard they called security. Oh, what's that have to do with you? Oh, I was just wondering what was happening. I know, right?
Oh, work,
An
employee.
employee was so upset it was happening a second that they didn't know what was happening a second, so they're leaning over. And I caught them leaning over and I said, that doesn't seem like a productive use of our time, does it? It seems like we're getting ourselves upset over something that could be.
Nothing.
And I don't actually remember what the incident was. I don't even think we had an incident report. I think we just need security assistance with something.
It was
It
a lost phone.
A lost phone.
She was describing it was on behalf, but Don had told her to come upstairs, so I just wanted, I was like, well, you're telling me this is your phone, but your phone has a dog on it, so it's on a dog. But Don told you to come up, so I'll Don up.
Yeah. And so I caught a staff member being anxious about that. And I was like, we gotta figure out how to separate some stuff. Is one of the and one of the things that was said at the summit is,
That's good.
one of our problems is we have so much empathy as librarians.
And
That sometimes we take that empathy and we just keep taking on more problems. And part of that very expensive thing is also training around that separation that needs to happen. Because the training is from this person who has a Olympic gold medal in karate. That's how the story starts and then ends up in public libraries, you know, as it happens. And so, so I think I'm still looking for ways to build trust with staff so that they can share the things that they're afraid of, but also trying to figure out ways in which we are taking on fear that, and we don't need, and isn't healthy for us because it all lives in our body and then becomes, you know, people get upset, people get worked out, migraine, they have to go home. And what started that migraine? Oh, someone called for security on a place that I wasn't. That's, so finding that, once I find that, I'll get a Nobel Prize. That's.
and give the librarians their time back, like the time that all that anxiousness
Mhm.
and the incident reports and everything. That I'm glad you're tracking all that. That's important.
To go back to the California training. Is there like a 2-sentence description you could give us or any kind of, like, I found that like a mysterious mention, I was like, oh, I wanna know more.
So it is a de-escalation, a body autonomy, a general safety, and a training on, it is a 40-hour training. Which they even like show you how to deflect a HUD. Like to that level, which many of our female staff should have that skill set.
Oh, maybe you could already teach.
And so it is kind of rooted in situational awareness. She talked a lot about situational awareness, but it's really rooted in, if things happen, how to keep your nervous system calm and react in ways. And it does, like, it, you know, it does seem like there's a little bit of self-defense stuff built into that. And we did see some, have some conversations, we looked up through it, and they were all like, yes, it was like, it's changed how I walk down the street for the better. So,
Thank you, yeah,
um,
it made me hopeful that, you know, you made this connection
Yeah.
and there's something interesting to pursue.
Are there any mental health resources that we might have access to for individual cases? Because before we go paying $100,000 for a refugees from California, we do have mental health opportunities here in the city that I think might be useful on a one-on-one basis. And I think the staff should know basically how they gauge how serious the issue is. We can't do it for them.
yeah, and Peggy has been doing, I mean, so from the development standpoint, because her role is human resource manager, human resource and development manager, so she's talking about staff development. And so it's been a multi-tier piece, so we do have a lot we've done a lot of group stuff, a lot of wellness stuff, but we also considerably, I mean, I think every time someone goes in to talk to Peggy, your first thing is, here's the EAP form. And we do give staff time off for various things. We have critical incident response workflow that we do take staff physically off. We check in with them, their supervisor check in, Asia checks in, the social worker checks in with them. And then we all give them those resources. And we're, in some cases, we do make them do, when we can, make them do. You have to do these tasks before this can come back. In many cases, whether they have to talk to a certain person at EAP to say they're okay to come back to work. So there's a lot of mental health structures in place and we have been really hammering that home. With lots of different organizations coming in, not just for staff development days, but also our monthly staff meetings. And who's coming soon? I don't remember who's coming.
Mentioned Alzheimer's.
Dementia and Alzheimer's. But so we're kind of always trying to hit some of those things and listen to those through lines and go through them. And so we have been working on that pretty much since Peggy's start to make sure that we're kind of building that into the constant culture, as part of those, yeah.
Well, I think we should, so we'll get more information about that, right? Because you said it's not even, there's not even a proposal yet, you're just sharing with that
Correct.
review. So I'll make sure
Doing
admin
research.
has more information about that, and obviously we'll have a longer conversation, we'll review what she pulls together. And we'll consider those different angles of it too, of what's the alternative, what else do they have access to, how can we complement and supplement, but I think that that's a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, any last comments on safety before we move to the rest of the agenda? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go to Matthew, who is here for the administration committee report.
Sure, and there are three listed on here, but truthfully, they're all roughly the same.
Yeah.
These are just minutes from when we met with candidates for the Director of Innovation and Public Services. That's the first two, and the second one was a virtual executive session, basically to discuss our feedback of those candidates. That's the extent of those reports. It was just the board members who could attend the presentations and the feedback session. And Jason, I don't know if an update on the position you want to share. Not
I
yet.
don't know if the person has notified their,
Yeah,
so
so not yet.
not yet.
TBD.
Okay.
But they accepted the offer. It says
Yes,
that, which is
yes.
good. That's good.
So, wait, did you all of these?
It takes some minutes.
No, thank you. I'm gonna call for it for all of them together, if that's fine. Okay, I'm hearing that's fine. So is there a call to accept those minutes? Okay, second. There are two first, so that becomes a second. Okay, and we will vote, via raise of hands, that I. Making that was like, oh, okay, there we go. Okay. Now over to Roseanne for the foundation updates.
Well, actually, Chrissy was gonna
Sure.
quickly about the update on the event.
Yeah, so obviously Jason mentioned we had our annual meeting. Thank you for those of you that could make it. I was pleased with how it turned out. If you weren't able to come and you didn't get our annual report, I have a bunch of them in my office that you can grab, or they'll be put in the mail in the fall. Well, it was the fall, November, it goes out with our fall deal, so you'll be getting that in the mail anyways. And then we're really just full steam ahead on our celebration, which is in just a little over a month. So I hope you all can come. We have great authors. I know I think you guys haven't met since June, but we have three fantastic authors this year. So we've sold a bunch of tickets. So as Laura said, get your tickets because we actually might sell out if we get too many to fit the space. So hopefully we'll be there.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, all right. No new business. So.
Can I ask one quick
Yes,
question?
that was my question.
Um,
Yes.
I noticed the EPL just canceled Hoopla.
Mhm.
Is that something that's other libraries are considering? now, or? It's interesting.
I am happy to like do a kind of deep dive into ebook stuff, because I think that Jen and I have talked about that in the past.
Yep.
And so it might be more useful, so possibly next month I'm happy to do a kind of report on ebook, both the pricing, the legislations,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff on why.
That'd be great. Another time.
Good.
Thank you.
Before the meeting. The subject of new business, I have had something I'd like to have people consider. And that is, we're about to enter the final stages of an election season. And we talked about this earlier in the year, and that was to have your legislative committee come together and meet once, they don't have to meet more than that, and open and have a meeting that requests that anybody running for office who would like to have you like the idea? Yeah.
I like the idea and I would love to see who actually shows up based on past experience.
Well, I think they'll show up this time. There's a lot of money and
Maybe if you would. Like, to be honest.
It's true.
I think it's really necessary for two reasons. One, obviously, is the whole issue of, I don't want people getting into office, who have the power, the ability to do some real damage to this library. And that can happen very easily. Number two, am concerned about, we haven't even started talking about or thinking about not just banning books, but removing books, buying books. What do you buy? What do you, there are all kinds of aspects to this. And I would like to just see if we can develop a list, very simple list, and the whole thing, it'll only take a half an hour. We don't have to stretch this out to make this sound more important than we are. All we want to know is, where do you stand on this issue? I'm still getting lots and lots of emails on a weekly basis, not a daily basis, asking me to stand with the people who not abandon books, but who are against banning books, and to do so, you send them money. And that's another thing that bothers me, because as Jason's explained to us before, it doesn't get anywhere, it doesn't help the library at all. And I think it's really important that maybe before we do that, the library committee, the legislative committee should develop a very one sentence, two sentences of what we're trying to accomplish here. I'm not trying to purify the library, I'm just trying to be sure I know where we stand here. And who's coming here? Who's going to be in the position of city council and make very major changes here? Not there.
Yeah, we can definitely take that and
Okay.
turn it into some action items. There's some multiple people are taking notes. Yes,
I do know in October, every Wednesday, there are debates in the Kansas Hall.
That's not enough. I don't think that's enough. I think they should come into this library. And maybe I'm being a stickler here, but I believe they should come into this library. They should, at least they should know what it looks like inside. And they should present themselves to us. If they really want this job, that's what they should be doing.
yeah, we'll take note about that requirement. Yeah, okay.
David put up a statement.
Oh, I'm really
David.
looking at it. Yes, David.
And I'll try, if you approve of that, I'll try to develop a list that you can approve of what we should be. I have the questions that Jen had asked.
I will reach out to him, set up a.
That would be very good. Thank you, Jason.
So I have a friend's report. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 So I have a friend's report. We have a meeting last week on September 16 at 4:30 at the same room where you are meeting today. So there was a very short meeting because not everybody was there because they are coming from vacation. They have a 2-month period vacation. So it was not that many people, but enough people to have quorum. There was no financial report at that time, so we don't have any money-wise information. one of the things that they were kind of not happy about is that they were not able to join the out to lunch event that the city hall keep every year because weather was terrible and they didn't feel good to go over there. Then Sulma and Angela came to ask for money, and the board automatically and unanimous they provide the money to them for some events and some programs that the library is taking. Then Linnea came and explained to them about the Peanuts event that they are going to have on October the 4th. And they were very happy about that. They were very, that they want to get into the event if they can have something over there. They are already organizing a book sale at the Frances Perkins branch that is going to be held on January 29th next year. They already have conversations with Benjamin, the branch manager, and they are working towards to have that event. And finally, they are working together with the Mass Friend Association because they are going to have an event as well. And they are going to have a meeting on November 8th to give more information about that. So that is what the Friends meeting was about this month. But I have 2 comments before I left. First, Solma and Angela were asking money for some events that had already happened. The meeting was on September 16, and they were asking money for things that happens on the first week of September. So I think that is not looking good because it doesn't show or reflect how the thing needs to be worked out, right? Because these events were held without having the money to pay the people who was working on those events. And they told me that is because the Friends doesn't meet for 2 months during the summer, and that is the reason why they cannot get the application for the money on the proper time. But I think we can work a little bit more on that because we already know that the Friends doesn't meet 2 months in the summer. And if I know that there are some events that are last hour, but if we can work to avoid that, it's going to look better on us. So that is just one observation. It was clear? Do I explain myself?
Yeah, no, it's really clear.
Yeah, because I see Rosene's face like she didn't understand, and I know my English is broken, but I want to make that as clear as possible. So the
No, she
second
just
thing.
concentrates a lot when she types, that's all.
Yeah, it's okay. So the second question that I have is because the last meetings I haven't been at all of the meeting, so I want to know who is taking the role that Cara left, because she left. She has this liaison that we bought at the beginning of the year for her to take this role. And who is taking that? Because I was sending an email this afternoon. I didn't know to who. I sent it to Jason and to Laura, but before Cara was the liaison. So who is the liaison now?
So right now it's me while we hire that position.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
And
Thank you.
so if you want to send, like the message you sent David to let us know you were joining via Zoom, it's, if you send it to me and Jason, then we'll know and we'll just make note. And we'll fuck y'all if you come, except if we don't read it and we think.
Yeah, both of us incorrectly read that
Yes.
Matthew is missing next month, not this month,
But we read it,
but we read it.
not closely. Yes, okay.
Okay.
Anything
Thank
else?
you.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Sorry, Laura.
more new business. New business is all over the place, yeah.
That actually raises a different question for me. Do we actually need to appoint a different reporting secretary for the board? Because typically that's who.
Yeah,
And I don't know who that would be because it can't be you.
no,
So right now we're missing that position. It's not necessarily vital, Roseanne, you're always here. The rest of us can take minutes if need be, but. I don't know.
I mean, it's important because there is someone doing it for you that's uploading the minutes to the website.
that's me.
I know, but
We were okay until the new year starts, right?
I'm gonna have to double check some
Yeah.
stuff and get back to
Okay,
okay.
because my understanding was like, yes, we have to have a new one.
Yeah.
But since we haven't like filled that role and so we don't have someone to put in it right now,
Right.
since we're in that year, it's okay, but we have to have somebody for the January
Okay.
Yes.
appointments, so actually. But Jason, you'll have to check that for us, okay?
But then the thing I was gonna ask you, is,
Yeah.
so it's related to the book banning stuff, so. On October 11th, there's gonna be two relevant events at Worcester Public Library about this, that people might wanna know about. From 1 PM to 3 PM, there's gonna be a film screening and discussion of The Librarians. This is a documentary that follows. Book challenges attempted across the country, and Jason's gonna be there to talk about it after the screening. And then, October 11th.
And where? Yeah.
1 to 3 here at the main library in the Banks Room.
Okay,
And then also on October 11th, between 2 and 4, the Massachusetts Authors Against Book Bans, reached out. First to me, and then I connected them with the library to see about hosting a like postcard writing thing here. So from 2 to 4 on that Saturday, they'll be here. Helping run an event where you can drop in, find out about those challenges and write a postcard to your legislator asking them to post this stuff. You can also screen print a tote bag while you're for fun. So that's 2 to 4. So as like a small partner like activist thing, that would be. So maybe if the legislative committee meets, they can be like, hey, people running across this, can do this.
that's it.
Okay,
But also we should be, but yeah.
The postcard sessions have been very effective throughout the country.
Yeah.
In terms of getting people, usually when you write this, because it is, you write on these places that have very serious problems.
Yeah.
So it's a very effective.
okay, all right, lots of new business, now is there a call to adjourn? So moved. Second, okay,
Katie,
then we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
So